Reason number 1. Natlan is to this day the region in Genshin that has focused the most on its characters. Well, let's start by talking about when Genshin really became good, which was in Sumeru. In Sumeru, the character cast is good and efficient. They are very interesting characters with great personalities. They are on par with the other casts in the series. But in Sumeru, it's a union of people for a greater cause. They aren't exactly friends at first, they are just there to save their nation, and for that they work together. While they are allies, the region focused on Scaramouche's return, Nahida's Dept, who is one of the best written characters in the game, and the Academia, basically world building. Fontaine is the masterpiece of Genshin Impact. In Fontaine, the characters are friends with each other and also allies. They are in a better situation than in Sumeru. I even remember a scene where they are eating together, and you can tell they are more than just allies. You've seen their journey together from strangers to becoming companions. On the other hand, I don't know if you noticed it, but the story of Fontaine in its final stretch shifted all the spotlight to Furina and Neuvillette. Was it a masterpiece? Yes. Was it fantastic? It was. But if you pay attention, it's the story focused more on the two of them than the rest of the cast. Oh, but Linnea and Arlecchino! No, right now we are talking about the Archon quest, and Arlecchino's story quest isn't part of the Archon quest. All this build up was to explain to you that the Natlan cast is the most well executed in the series so far. Natlan is literally a nation that focuses on its characters more than its own world. You start by playing with Kachina, then we see Mualani extremely worried about Kachina in the Ninth Kingdom. In fact, we are going to the Ninth Kingdom in the first acts just to save Kachina. Not only that, but in the middle of the war, we see legitimately scared characters. You could see the terror of the war. Kinich lost his composure. Chaska, who is extremely warrior-like person, was crying, and even Paimon was breaking her character because she was so terrified. Actually, not just her, but everyone there. This gave more layers to these characters. They were all well utilized in the Archon quest, and all of them were very present. Just by this first reason, I can already prove to you that Natlan isn't bad. Reason number 2. Capitano was good. What we can all agree on is that his character needed more depth and more screen time. On the other hand, that doesn't mean he wasn't efficient. Although his end was predictable, it was very well executed for one simple reason. He suffered from the curse of immortality. He's from Kanya. Capitano managed to refute a celestial messenger with a paradox and gave himself the best end he could have, to die, along with the burden we carried for 500 years. We can notice his noble qualities, holding on to the pain of his companions in his heart for hundreds of years. Reason number 3. Natlan has the best climax for a nation, which is its Act 4. No other Act 4 in the game is as powerful as Natlan's Act 4. Which I consider the best part of Natlan, and the final acts are just a conclusion to this climax. Besides giving a slap in the face to those who complained about the lack of war, in my opinion, it almost reached the level of Fontaine's final act, but still, Natlan's Act 4 is the second best Archon quest in the game so far. Reason number 4. The world quests complement your complete experience with the story. The game recommends you do them, and they connect with the main story of Natlan. This isn't the case in Sumeru. No world quest in Sumeru is directly tied to the Archon quest of Sumeru, as happens in Natlan. Fontaine is another story though, but in this case, it's something even more connected than Fontaine, because Natlan's world quests are directly mentioned and well utilized in the main story if you do them. I'm not saying Natlan's world quests are better than Sumeru's or Fontaine's, I'm just commenting that they are more connected. Reason number 5. It's respectable that Hoyoverse tried to create something new and unique for a nation with a fire theme. Instead of using the generic volcano, fire, dark stone settings, etc., we had a unique dynamism between art, the people and fun. Although I admit I would have preferred the traditional setting, I kind of liked Hoyoverse trying something different. And not just that, but Natlan is probably Genshin's final attempt at creating something this happy, hype, and lively like it was. This next night will surely be a sad and depressing journey, and I'm sure it won't stop there. For me, Natlan doesn't start well, in my opinion, and its first two acts are the weakest part. This part of Natlan feels strange. You first step into Natlan and meet Katina. Well, although the game introduces you to Natlan in these chapters, it doesn't explain anything until the end of the second act, which is for me is like 4 or 5 hours of content. You are just fighting for no reason. This bothered me a lot. Even though they explain it after many hours of playing, it feels very abrupt. I don't know, but at first it didn't convince me. Even with Mavuika explaining that they had been at war with the Abyss all this time. But even this part, which initially felt strange, aged like wine, when you finish everything, look back at the beginning of Natlan. Even though the execution wasn't great, you can tell that those acts were very important and still remained relevant until the end of the region's story. Katina served to directly introduce the tournament and all the necessary build-up for the later climaxes. I'm satisfied with Natlan, a region that delivered unique features and even reminded me a bit of Mondstadt. It was an attempt to leave something fun that will stay in your memories, a final flash of the potential tragedies in the story that will come in the later years of Genshin Impact. It directly confronted something the game hadn't done in 5 years, seeing the Abyss up close, and it started answering many important things, going further than any other region before. Hello, I'll introduce myself now. I'm the Prince, and this was my video showing the positive points of Natlan in Genshin Impact. I'm sure I forgot many other points, but anyways, let's keep moving on. You can say them in the comments. Natlan has divided the fanbase quite a bit, and I felt the need to make this video. I always thought the community was pretty homogeneous when it came to the game's visions in terms of story. Everyone points to Fontaine as the best and then Sumeru, but I saw a lot of people considering Natlan one of the worst regions in the game, which is not true in my opinion. Natlan also has negative points, but in this video I only wanted to talk about the good parts. If you like it, consider subscribing to the channel. I don't make videos just about gacha games but also about games, anime or hidden gems. Right now, I'm again trying Zenless Zone Zero and Wooden Waves to see if I like them, and I've got some good news. Well, that's for the future. Bye. Until the next time. Now the curtains close and showdown.